During dark times in my life, Jared him from the war and strife. Numerous times on my life, then the bars was not nice. No longer have to think twice. Come living for the truth. Yeah, say me come to elevate the youth.
Get your copy of Incarceration JA today and be inspired.
If you ever know where I'm coming from, then you will know what I've seen. But the song, let me tell you what I want. Spiritual conflict from dusk till dawn.
Let not your emotions or preconceived ideas lead your heart. Reflect on and analyze this information. Let the Spirit of truth speak to you before coming to a conclusion. Matthew, Mark, Luke and John testifies that Jesus, also referred to as Yeshua, died on a cross. The book of Acts further adds to this claim by stating in chapter 8 that the Messiah's life was taken from the earth, meaning he was killed. Acts 8:32 to 35 gives a direct statement referring to Isaiah 53. In fact, according to these verses from the book of Acts, this prophecy has been fulfilled. However, Isaiah 53 mentions nothing of the Messiah coming, then leaving, going up to heaven and returning many years later to fulfill the rest of the prophecy, but clearly testifies that the Messiah of Isaiah 53 neither leaves and comes back nor is killed, but fulfills all of what is written therein in a single appearance. I repeat, everything written in Isaiah 53 unfolds in the Messiah's single appearance. From the beginning of the chapter to the end of the chapter, it is written of his struggles till his reward for his strong will and perseverance. There is no going and coming back to fulfill the prophecy. Therefore, it could never have been fulfilled by Jesus of the Gospels. And this I will explain and elaborate on. Before doing so, let us analyze the claim regarding death in the Gospels, and most of all the book of Acts 8:32 to 35 concerning Isaiah 53, which is what has been used to claim it has been fulfilled. Verses 7 and 8 states, "He was oppressed, and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He was brought as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before his shearers is dumb. So he opened not his mouth. He was taken from prison and from judgment, and who shall declare his generation? For he was cut off out of the land of the living. For the transgression of my people was he stricken." So we see Acts 8 makes a direct claim to Isaiah 53 verse 7 and 8. However, the Messiah prophesied in this chapter dies not, nor is it written he goes away and returns, but fulfills his duty in that same appearance when one reads the contents of the whole chapter. There is nothing in verse 7 or 8 declaring physical death. In fact, being cut off from the land of the living isn't to be killed, and only testifies that Jesus, otherwise known as Yeshua, couldn't be the person spoken of, as the Messiah isn't prophesied to be in the Holy Land, more or less born in the Holy Land, as he was cut off from the land of the living, which could be no other place than the Holy Land. For surely Jerusalem is the city of the living King, and the Holy Land is the land of the living God. For those who believe to be cut off means to be killed, you are deeply mistaken. To be cut off means to be separated. Nixar, stemming from the root word gazar, meaning cut off, and the word used for land isn't referring to the whole earth or inhabited earth, but a specific geographic location, a specific piece of land. The word in Hebrew used is Eretz, as it is written, Eretz Mitzrayim, otherwise land of Egypt, and not Aretz, as in all the earth. Isaiah 53 verse 8 refers to land of the living as Eretz Chaim, meaning a specific geographic location. So we see the Messiah isn't prophesied to be in the Holy Land, but cut off, otherwise excluded from the Holy Land. For surely the true seed of Israel, the descendants of Abraham, Isaac and Jacob, are a scattered people. It is only right the Messiah is called to raise up the tribes, although they be scattered, as mentioned in Isaiah 49 verse 5 and 6. Would he not also be among the captives in a strange land? For indeed the Messiah is prophesied to come and redeem Jerusalem, which the son of Mary in the Gospels fulfilled not. Isaiah 53 verse 9 to 12 further testifies that the Messiah prophesies doesn't die but is upheld throughout his tribulations by the mighty arm of the Most High, the true and living God. He had made his grave with the wicked and the rich his death, because he had done no violence. Again, it isn't referring to anyone being physically killed, but referring to the circumstance in which surrounds him. For the scriptures goes on to say, it pleased the living God to bruise him. His soul is an offering for sin. He shall see his seeds, he shall prolong his days, and he shall prosper because of the Most High. Although his soul is an offering for sin, verse 11 tells us, he shall see the travail of his soul, and shall be satisfied, for by his knowledge shall many be justified. He shall bear their iniquities. Verse 6 tells us all have gone astray, following after their own imagination. Then of course he bears their iniquity. Verse 12 says, he is given a portion with the great. He hath poured his soul out to death. Pouring one's soul out to death is the great sacrifice of hard labor, not physical death, and was numbered with the transgressions and bared the sins of many. And for his part he is rewarded amongst the great, and divides the spoil with the strong. My question is, can a dead man see the travel of his soul, or be rewarded for his labor, suffering and pain? Is there any prophecy within Isaiah 53 of the individual going away and coming back, or does he not suffer affliction and is rewarded among the great at the end of his tribulation and struggle? Is it not written that he shall see his seeds, meaning children? Is there any mention in the Gospels of the son of Mary having children? After listening and seeing evidence from a Tanakh perspective of the Hebrew scriptures, what's your views? Do you still believe Jesus, otherwise called Yeshua, fulfilled Isaiah 53? Or do you now see it is an unfulfilled prophecy, which causes the heart to return to the Tanakh, the foundation of the books? A deeper breakdown and insight on the fulfilled and unfulfilled prophecies are written in my forthcoming book, titled Oneness, Redemption from Religious, Ancestral and Psychological Trauma. In the meantime, get your copy of Incarceration J.A. We have the power to overcome systematic traumas by turning to Yah, stepping away from the curses and seeking the blessings. Each individual has their role to play. Get your copy and be inspired. Incarceration J.A.